What's going on, everybody? We're back.
Here we are. It's the big day.
Here we are.
Here we are.
That's how you start a big stream. Hey, here we are.
Sleeper Bowl 20. We're back again. Andy, Mike, and Jason, the fantasy footballers, we're welcoming you into a live draft. We did this last year. I don't even remember who won the league last year.
Oh, who won?
Man, let me look it up.
We'll try to think about that.
Oh, it was us. It was us. We're getting stream sniped by Ninja, taking our players. We still came out on top.
That's right.
But we want to welcome you in to this spectacular event, Sleeper Bowl 20. We have got a league full of big names. Juju Smith-Schuster will have the number one overall pick in this draft. Tim the Tat Man, welcome back again. Team Efron, Zach and Dylan Efron are co-owning a team that we will attempt to defeat. We've got the fourth pick, and we got Real Dockery in this. We got Danny Duncan. We've got Supreme Dreams. We've got Ryan Garcia and Carl Anthony Towns, and this is going to be a good time. 10 teams.
Yes.
Full PPR league this year, so that'll be different. And sitting at the fourth pick, I think we're wondering, do some of the big names go off right ahead of us? What are we expecting? And part of what we talk about with the fantasy footballers is, we just did a mock draft show this last week, and now we're in the Sleeper Bowl, and you got to let the draft come to you, right?
Yes. We've got a pick that we were looking at already in the second round, saying, let's aim for this player, and then we're like, well, let's just wait because there might be someone unexpected on the board in the second round.
That's right, and so they're coming into the draft here. We should be starting in just about 4 minutes, 4 minutes from the beginning of this draft. 90 seconds per pick. Like I said, we're going 14 rounds, and they're on their way. We're going to have some surprises. Every draft, you spend your time, if you're a fantasy football player, if you've played in years past, the most fun time of the year is this off-season period where you are projecting how players are going to perform. You are looking at, your favorites, those that you think are going to bust. You think everybody's going to draft exactly how you've projected it in your mind, but then things change. And we're going to have to make a decision. We're co-owning a team.
Yes.
And we don't agree with each other very often.
Hardly ever. Hardly ever. It's our specialty is disagreeing.
That's right. 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex. And, man, I'm excited.
I want to know where quarterbacks go in this draft. If you're familiar with the fantasy footballers, we are usually late round quarterback as far as strategy goes. But obviously with Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes out there, are they going to go early? Are they going to go high? I mean, they go early in every draft, but how high? Is this in consideration near the top of the draft? That's what I'm curious about. What team are you guys most afraid of?
I do recall the Team Efron being incredibly strong coming out of the draft. I had to tip my hat. They were making excellent selection after excellent selection. Of course, it was not enough to bring down the giant of the fantasy footballers, but it was Team Efron built a really, really strong team from the draft.
Are you afraid of the stream sniping capabilities of one Ninja Cheaterface?
Yeah, this year when we talk about who we're looking for, maybe we're just lying. Maybe we're just trying to get you. You know who I really want this year? Carryon Johnson.
I say the
that was a bit of a trap last year. Thank you.
We got you.
Is we don't the Lions. Oh, I mean, Kenny Golladay. People like Kenny Golladay. I have him in my top 10 for sure. So Kenny Golladay could be a player that he may go after. Look, it's fantasy football. You got to know your competition. We know that Ninja loves the Lions. We know he likes to have him on his team. So we'll see if he ends up coming down with Kenny G in his sweet routes.
And there's more running backs available in Detroit now. You've got Deandre Swift and Carryon, so he could go back-to-back first round, second round. That's what I'm projecting here.
Yeah, whatever you do, Ninja, don't do that.
A lot of excited people in the chat. I'm seeing these come in, most often yelling a name, like a player name at us.
Oh.
Some of their favorites.
Well, I have seen a lot of people questioning who we're going to take at the 4 if the big 3 who I will not name,
which is
DeAndre
Swift.
If they're gone. And we had a conversation before the show where I think we came to a conclusion that was surprising.
All right.
It was a last-minute change.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Jason. The draft has begun.
Yes, and Juju was number 1. He came down with the lucky draw of being able to select Christian McCaffrey. I was a little bit curious. Does Juju draft himself? Does he say to the world last year the struggles that happened in Pittsburgh, the struggles for him personally, they're gone, and he's all in on himself. But
much like last year, he knows how to play fantasy.
Yeah,
yes.
he's here to win. He's going to play the strategy game. Last year, if you are unaware, Juju selected, I believe it was Hopkins.
It was.
Over himself, and then at the end of the first round, we chose to take Juju to keep him from Juju.
I got to cut you off because
yeah.
we're on the clock, Jason. So it went Christian McCaffrey, Tim the Tatman took Saquon Barkley, and then Team Efron went with Zeke. So the big 3 went off the board. No surprises in the top 3. That puts us on the clock. We have just over a minute. And the guys that we are looking at, it would be between Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
And we've been talking about this yesterday, today, debating. We all have different votes. But the difference here, we've come to a consensus. It's a PPR format, and we're going with our rankings. You know, we put the Ultimate Draft Kit out. We break down our projections.
And there is a running back who was caught, 81?
Yes.
Every
single year of his career. So we're going to go with that PPR
Make
bump.
the pick, Mike.
We're going to take Alvin Kamara here at number 4 because of the PPR. It's
a close call. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire should be a PPR monster this year. We haven't seen it before, but what better offense than in Kansas City and having the backfield to himself, or so it seems. But we went with Alvin Kamara. He's a proven commodity. Real Dockery next took Dalvin Cook. That was one of the 3 names we were looking at very closely. What are the question marks with Cook in your mind, briefly?
Well, I think the holdout issue is not a question. He's there. He's ready for week 1. But he still has a shoulder injury that has a 20% chance of sometime in the future needing to have surgery on it, that specific injury. So there is a worry. I would say late in the draft, you look for Alexander Madison, try to have insurance for that situation.
I guess I'm glad in that sense that we didn't take Cook, so we don't have to be thinking about that later in the draft. Danny Duncan on the clock now, 45 seconds left on the clock. To run it back here, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, all running backs off the board. Begs the question, when are we going to see that first wide receiver?
In a full PPR league, Michael Thomas, he could go right here. I'll bet he does.
Well, we'll find out shortly.
Okay, so just talk for yourself, Jay. You're on the board here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there. He's kind of the last top tier pass catching running back. Because look, as much as we love Derrick Henry, we know who he is, and he is a superhero on the field, but he doesn't rack up the PPR numbers. Josh Jacobs might rack up the PPR numbers. Would you take Michael Thomas here, knowing that he is the elite pass catcher?
No, I think it's a worthy pick to take Michael Thomas. I would have gone running back. There's so few, and they towards the end of the draft, if you didn't get one of the great running backs, you can't, usually find one later in the draft, whereas you could find good wide receivers later in the draft.
Devonte Adams went at 106. So you can see it on the board if you're watching the stream.
I knew I liked Danny. Look, he didn't go chalk here. He didn't just say, well, the Michael Thomas is the pick. Michael Thomas, if you recognize what happened last year, it can't happen again.
It's very rare for the number 1 finisher, whether it's Christian McCaffrey, Michael Thomas, even when Patrick Mahomes had his 50-touchdown year. Very rare to see a repeat at the same position.
It's also very rare to break the record for the most receptions
of all time
in a single season. I don't think you could project Michael Thomas to do that again.
I would have taken Michael Thomas if I was choosing between those two, but
I love it, man.
I love rolling the dice. Derrick Henry at 107. Ninja on the clock.
Ooh.
Big decisions for Ninja. Mike, you brought up some of the PPR running backs. There are other running backs in that maybe PPR dominant.
Yeah,
it could be Miles Sanders. It could be Josh Jacobs. It could be Joe Mixon. Could be Kenyon Drake. Those are some guys that we think are going to catch a lot of passes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I was just comparing, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who he's just sitting here for Ninja at the 8th pick, which is, look, it's upsetting to my heart. It's upsetting to my heart because
I know.
I would have been very happy to take Edwards-Helaire at the 4th pick.
To have Edwards-Helaire drop to the 8th pick, we'll see if he's watching or even if he's not, who he takes.
I am going to interpret this delay in his pick as it's 30 seconds left as incredible indecision. No idea what's going to happen.
Probably
He's
tilting.
Panic pick here.
Super tilt.
Not sure if any Lions are worthy of a first-round pick. But we're getting down to the
I'll
wire.
tell you, I am nervous.
I find myself, you see, we're hosting, but we're also participating. And there goes Clyde Edwards-Helaire to Ninja at 108. I find myself very protective. Like when Mike said, oh, my goodness, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still on the board, I was like, don't say that out loud, Mike.
I'm not worried
I want
about
him to
that.
come back to. No, I know.
Here's the
Ryan
thing.
Garcia on the clock.
I knew Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's no chance he's coming back.
Right.
But there is a player that I am actively not naming because I really like. That's just
It's
real.
Voldemort.
Yes, it's the player who shall not be named. We'll see if my guy gets back to
Ninja's
us.
not rattled. He made the right pick there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the board. Everyone's so excited. We have on the site with our rankings, we have like audio clips of players. And we were just looking yesterday. What player's profile has been clicked on more than anybody else over the last month? And by a 2 times margin, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire over the next highest
Everybody
profile.
else, the next 20, 30 people all have the exact same amount as each other, and then it's double for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Apparently people, when you have a rookie that is this high in draft position, as people flood back into fantasy football, they might not be as aware of who that player is, but rest assured, Ninja, he's very good and is a good pick.
Michael Thomas off the board at 109. We've got one pick left. Karl Anthony Towns here at 110 to round out our first round. Michael Thomas at 109 in a PPR league.
That's sensational value.
Feels very nice. And 2 picks for Karl Anthony Towns here as we come into the second round. A lot of big names on the board at running back. You have Josh Jacobs. You got Joe Mixon. You've got Austin Eckler after the big season last year. And I'm curious, every draft, you kind of want to know, when is that first quarterback going to go? When is that first tight end going to go?
We did a mock draft episode yesterday. I had the 101, and when it got back to me at that second turn, I took Lamar Jackson, which, again, we don't usually take quarterbacks high, and I loved the way my team worked out in yesterday's show. I thought it was way better than your guys's.
Yeah, for the first time you've thought that.
The first time ever. Jason.
Julio Jones rounds out the first round. Karl Anthony Towns on the clock for a second pick here. Seeing the comments roll in, some people saying Clyde Edwards-Helaire ahead of Michael Thomas is a crime.
I understand in a full PPR the disrespect that Michael Thomas is getting, putting so many running backs ahead of him, but this is just a positional issue. It's just a matter of you run out of running backs. And yes, Michael Thomas will probably be higher at wide receiver and score more points than Clyde Edwards-Helaire will at running back, but it doesn't really matter. That's like, obviously quarterbacks are going to score the most points. Pat Mahomes will score more than Michael Thomas. We're not taking him because you can get a quarterback late who's also going to score a lot of points.
Some people heartbroken that we didn't go Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 104. And
Look,
the truth is when
I'm
you
a
don't,
little bit as well.
Yeah, when you don't have that new hotness, it's that's enticing in fantasy football. Some people saying looks like everybody bought the UDK already.
Oh, fantastic.
And I agree based on that pick right there. Josh Jacobs off the board.
Karl Anthony Towns is going strictly with the strategy that a player must have a J in their first and last name. I commend you for this pick.
Yeah, that's one of the big strategies that we're
Alliteration is a
so
very
crucial.
important part of – I mean, we don't call it fantasy football for no reason.
right.
You are absolutely correct.
I never realized that, Jason.
Yes, so watch out for –
Because you're not a poet.
Ryan
like
Garcia
Jason.
on the clock right now. Michael Thomas in the first round, coming back with Joe Mixon. Both of my guys off the board back-to-back with the first 2 picks.
Who is your third my guy?
You think Ninja will take him right here? Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp, that's right. I genuinely I didn't remember. It was a real question. I was like, who is your third my guy?
All right. Well, thank you.
It really felt like a leading question.
Yeah.
But it was not.
Your my guys are still available, Mr. Moore.
That is correct.
So we've got a minute left here. Ninja with his second pick went Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. Foundational back? We think so. Curious what he will do here. Second round pick. If he goes wide receiver, obviously he's got one of each and very flexible moving forward. If he goes running back, do you see a run on wide receivers for the next couple of rounds? I know Jason's like the value at wide receiver.
Yeah,
in the middle rounds.
Yeah, I've talked about in normal 12-team leagues, rounds 3 through 7, that I just love the wide receivers that are on the board there, and the running backs there have a lot of question marks. They could be good. Aaron Jones was a third-round pick last year. Derrick Henry was a third-round pick last year. It's not to say you can't find value there, but there's a lot of questions on the running backs that are in that range. Todd Gurley could be great this year, but we haven't seen him with this team. We don't know about the offensive line. Melvin Gordon could be great this year, but we haven't seen him with the team, et cetera, et cetera.
Ninja has gone all in on Kansas City. He started the draft with the rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire, followed it up with wide receiver 1 for the team, Tyreek Hill. So he's all in on Kansas City.
I'm curious, Ninja, if Pat Mahomes falls to you in the third round,
I thought the same thing.
Would he take it and just really complete the stack, get all of Mahomes' points?
It's not a bad team to have a stack. I mean, people ask us that question all the time. Are you okay having different combinations of teammates? The answer is yes on certain teams. I mean, basically, if you are one of the higher scoring teams, Saints, even the Rams, Kansas City, Baltimore, these are teams that I don't really have any problem drafting the combination.
Well, it's like, think about it. If all the players, I mean, you got to presume health at this point of the season, but Edwards-Helaire stays healthy, Hill stays healthy, Travis Kelce stays healthy. I mean, you have what?
And wealthy.
Well, yes, Travis Kelce is staying very fit and very wealthy these days when the bag was secured for a couple more years with that contract extension. But my point is, what's the fantasy finish for those 3 guys if they play all 16 games? Kelce's number 1. Tyreek Hill, we've already seen him be a number 1 wide receiver, and Edwards-Helaire projects as that as well.
All right, Supreme Dreams followed up Derrick Henry in the first round.
One of my favorite things to see
with DeAndre Hopkins
is when the clock, when the pick gets made at 5 seconds, like was just made with DeAndre Hopkins, because that human making the pick is, it's not an auto draft. This is oh no, 10, 9, 8. I've got to make the decision. Yeah. That I've been there, and the intensity in my heart is like when I move on from this world, it will be at the end of one of my draft picks because I will have a heart attack and I will be finished.
But will you have completed the pick and then expire, or are you going to expire just before the pick?
I promise that will finish in an auto draft selection.
DeAndre Hopkins is not the worst last-second pick to make in a PPR league. Hopkins going at 204, 5th wide receiver off the board. Here's Danny Duncan, went Devonte Adams in the first round, taking it to the wire once again with this pick, and whether it's maybe we'll see our first wide receiver combination.
We will
and the answer is no. Austin Eckler off the board. Mike grimacing. In a PPR league, Austin Eckler has a great opportunity to be one of the best running backs once again in fantasy. Last year, though, it wasn't a second-round pick like this. It was a 6th-round pick. This year, you are paying up for Austin Eckler.
I am so happy Danny Duncan took Austin Eckler because I know that if he got to us, we would have had to fight.
We would have gotten to draft an excellent player in PPR. How terrible, Jason.
I'm saying that we would have had to have the argument because
Odell Beckham Jr. off the board. Now Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones on the board for us.
Look, I'm taking my vote would be my guy, number 1, Arizona Cardinals guy for you, Kenyon Drake. I like him at the back of the first.
Mike, do you have a differing – I mean, what do you think here? We already gave Jason his guy in the first round. Nick Chubb dropping this far in a PPR. Derrick Henry went at 107. So is Nick Chubb being disrespected in this format?
No, I think we're thinking about Nick Chubb appropriately.
I mean, in this format, they were about the same fantasy points last year.
So the other guys I would consider Miles Sanders of what he could become, but we've already talked about the power of alliteration that it brings to your team, and Kamara and Kenyon.
Oh, very.
So you're ready to go in on Kenyon Drake.
I am ready to go in on Kenyon Drake
and roll the dice and see what happens in the third round. All right, go ahead and take Kenyon Drake.
All right.
I'm going to be really disappointed when he misses week 1.
Jason owes us. What, you worried about the foot?
You mean being in the walking boot?
Look,
the precautionary walking boot?
It's just a precaution.
Who amongst us hasn't thrown on a precautionary foot boot from time to time? I did it last week.
My daughter does it for real.
That is true.
She hurt her ankle, got a walking boot, and then sometimes she just puts it on and plays
precautionary.
Well, it makes sense then why Jason would have wanted Kenyon Drake there.
Right.
Miles Sanders goes next, Nick Chubb, and then there it is. Patrick Mahomes, first quarterback off the board. Juju going with Patrick Mahomes over Lamar Jackson, and then coming back right away with Aaron Jones. So Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Jones. In our mock draft yesterday, Jason had Christian McCaffrey at 101, came back in the third round, essentially the same pick
same thing.
With Lamar Jackson. That chance to have number 1 at 2 positions. It's enticing when you have CMC at the top of the draft.
I
but
remember
Aaron Jones dropped into the third round here too. There were a lot of names that went ahead of Aaron Jones in this format. I'm surprised.
Aaron Jones was the player in the mock draft yesterday I was most hoping got back to me at that turn. I would have taken Aaron Jones and probably Lamar Jackson, which, you know, if you're arguing between Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes, whatever, 1A, 1A, because they're both fantastic. So I like Juju's strategy to start. It is interesting that the NFL wide receiver has no wide receivers through 3 rounds.
He's maybe he's hoping he comes back to himself in the 4th round. You never know. So Tim the Tatman has Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley. That pick happened so fast with Chubb and Barkley. So comes back with Mike Evans as his first wide receiver in the 3rd round. We're 1 pick away. I know that we're thinking about a tight end maybe.
You shut your mouth. You stay quiet over there. We're 1 pick away.
You know, when we started our podcast.
Oh, come on! I blame you, Andrew Holloway.
So did we manipulate Efren's pick, or is he just a genius like we are?
Oh, man.
Probably
I
the
told
latter.
you that Team Efron knows what they're doing.
I think we should come back here with George Kittle. I
agree.
I think we should take George Kittle in a 10-team league, having a difference maker with high PPR. Jason's
I'm fine
nodding.
with that. I'm just very.
For the record, for all your anger, disappointment in me, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, exact same fantasy points per game last year. Kittle got the bag of money. Kelce got the bag of money. Kittle's younger. Kittle's more important to his offense.
Which offense is better?
Well, I think we know that answer.
Yeah.
But points per game is what matters.
Let me ask this. I think this will clear it up. Who was the tight end 1 last year?
Travis Kelce.
But 2 years ago, who was the number 1 tight end?
Yeah.
But 3 years ago. But 4 years in a row, he's the number 1 tight end. It was a great pick.
That's true, but not by points per game. Last year, it was Kittle and Kelce.
Yes, but we
total points. He missed time.
Right.
I mean, he missed time. All right, James Conner and David Johnson go next. If I told you, Jason, that I could guarantee if we pass on George Kittle there, I could guarantee you that you get Mark Andrews in the 4th round. Does it change your pick? Because these are the gambles you make as a fantasy player. You say, I could go this position here. I could go this tier. We talk about tiers in fantasy football, having a tight end in that upper echelon.
Yeah, I think it might have because Chris Godwin is on the board. Chris Godwin in a full PPR league. Well, I'm not doing it when I'm 1 pick away. There's a big Chris Godwin 1 isn't going to come back to us.
I didn't say Travis Kelce. I just said tight end. Yeah. Could have been anybody.
I wonder who's the first tight end they're going to take. Could be anybody.
All right, we've got Supreme Dreams on the clock. Danny Duncan went with David Johnson. So that's an interesting PPR pick in the third round.
It is.
When you're in a point per reception format, there is a lot of upside to David Johnson. He's one of the best, even last year when he struggled on the ground, one of the best pure pass catchers at the running back position in football still.
Yeah, last year we saw 3 running backs who managed to average over 10 yards a reception while still pulling down a huge volume of targets. And it's guys you expect. Austin Eckler was incredible, Miles Sanders, and you'd be probably a little bit surprised to hear that David Johnson was the 3rd running back on that list. Like that's an incredible efficiency metric that those 3 running backs were able to hit. And I agree that even if David Johnson isn't the same runner on the ground, which he certainly could still be, maybe it was just
he could be better than last year, certainly.
Maybe he didn't fit the scheme of Arizona and Cliff Kingsbury. Maybe he still has it. But what he does have is the pass-catching ability, and the Houston Texans lost – well, lost is not the right word to say for DeAndre Hopkins.
Waved goodbye, too.
They purposely lost him. They said, go away, DeAndre Hopkins. So David Johnson –
which we were thankful for as Arizona Cardinal fans. Oh, yeah! Hopkins a Cardinal.
Big shimmy.
Yeah, big shimmy. Big shimmy.
All right, Todd Gurley off the board at 3:07, by the way. Ninja back on the clock. He's having just a brutal time with this decision, I imagine.
He was expecting to get Kelsey or Mahomes.
There he goes.
The stack.
Lamar Jackson at 3:08. I respect that pick. First couple quarterbacks off the board. But the reason we took Kittle, 10-team league, that advantage a little bit bigger if you're picking the right quarterback. If you're picking the right tight end, you will have a week-to-week advantage, and that's what Lamar was last year.
Yeah, in a 10-team league, I believe at the end of this draft, everyone's going to have a pretty good-looking team because the depth is a little bit easier to come by when you take 2 teams out of every single round. That's why tight end is a real positional advantage because there's 2 great tight ends, 2 okay tight ends, and then a bunch of question marks. And, if you can get a positional advantage there, it will really help, especially because, the depth at running back and wide receiver is difficult to come by in most leagues. I think we'll be able to have a really deep roster on this one.
What is interesting, too, is like if you go back and watch the live stream from last year, you can see the draft. This is just one piece of the puzzle for fantasy football players. You spend the entire preseason, offseason looking forward to your draft, but it sets the foundation for your team. You don't win your league at the draft. And if you go back and look at our draft last year, we had Devontae Freeman as a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah,
right?
That didn't work out.
It didn't work out, yet it's the transactions that took place over the course of the year that made the difference. So that's a lesson learned. You might not have a perfect draft. Nobody has a perfect draft. You got to keep building on that. That's why we do what we do with the podcast. Kenny Golladay, love that, at 3:09.
Take that, Ninja.
Love that pick.
Now,
I wonder if he was thinking about him there.
I'm sure he was thinking about it.
He's probably still thinking about it.
I was chuckling while Jason was talking because Karl Anthony Towns has, in fact, made the comment in the chat room that we're running out of players with 2 J's in the name. So he acknowledges what happened on the turn last time.
I would also like to say that as long as you
– Now, would Juju count? I mean, it's not –
that's
the closest you're going to come here.
Chris Godwin, Le'Veon Bell off the board. Lev Bell in the 4th round. A year removed from all the hype being a first-round pick last year or in that range. Now he's got year 2 with Adam Gase. He's a pass catcher. I mean, that is what he's done historically. That'll be interesting to watch. Godwin at 3:10 is, I think, one of the surprises of the draft so far. I'm monitoring all of the comments coming in from Facebook, from Twitter, from Twitch, from YouTube. Godwin dropping has been the name screamed out in chat the most. So what do you think about that value there? He's, the 9th wide receiver off the board in this draft?
Yeah, in a full PPR, I mean, I love Kenny Golladay. He's great, but I would have taken Chris Godwin over him because it's a full PPR league. Godwin is more of a down-the-field, big play, touchdown guy who's going to end up with, 80 receptions, whereas Chris Godwin could crack 100 receptions pretty easily with Tom Brady there. So I think it's a phenomenal value.
And we, one of the things we're always wading through on the podcast is this like camp hype, and then take it for what you will.
For Lev?
Well, I was going to say for Tom Brady and for that offense, the people walking away from from camp, and they're not allowed to tweet while it's going on. When they walk away, they're tweeting. They're saying, Tom Brady's still a pretty good football player based on what they're seeing so far in camp. He represents that massive upside if he still got it. Leonard Fournette off the board at 4:02 to Ryan Garcia. Ninja back on the clock. Now, making the decision about Lamar Jackson there, when you're drafting at the end of the round, you can gamble. You can say, hey, I'm going to take my guy and then hope my running back gets back to me. In this case, Chris Carson off the board. Mike, you had a small grimace when that took place. Was he somebody you were hoping would slide on back to us?
I was. I don't know if I was going to be able to talk you guys into it of starting with a team, a PPR league, without taking a wide receiver in the first 4 rounds. But Chris Carson was a difference maker last year. He was a difference maker for our team. We were able to join forces with Carson and make our way to the championship. And he was more involved as a receiver last year. They talked up, I know Pete Carroll, a.k.a. Peach Cobbler, he's always talking up his players, but he talked up the hands of Chris Carson, and they came through. Like, you saw a huge target jump for Chris Carson. So you don't think of Carson as a PPR bump type of a player, but he really did. He really had a good amount of receptions last year.
Yeah, Amari Cooper off the board here, another player that could have great PPR value if he can stay healthy and on the field. Go-to wide receiver for Dak. I think Dallas is in the running for that best offense in football this year. Mike, good point about Carson, and Carlos Hyde is not going to threaten you in the PPR realm.
No, he is not.
Or maybe any realm. But we are 2 picks away. Now, there is a player that I am really, really, really hoping gets back to us.
We're all in sync on this. And when I say I think, we've chatted to each other, and we know that we are all –
Why are you being secretive then?
Let me talk about some of the big names still on the board. You do have Mark Andrews in the 4th round. I talked to you about, look, if you knew Andrews was coming back, would you have gone George Kittle there over some of the other names like Chris Godwin? You could have taken Chris Godwin there over George Kittle.
Come on, Danny.
I'm not going to mention it anymore. DJ Moore was the pick that I was hoping would come back to us.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick.
that is disappointing. Cooper, okay. All right.
Oh,
I'm out of here.
You're my guy goes next, and we are on the clock.
Now, see, we're in a full PPR, and some of the bigger names out there are a bunch of wide receivers like Calvin Ridley with upside, A.J. Brown, Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen. We've got to make a pick here. For me, this is Robert Woods. Robert Woods is the pick right here. Full PPR. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are going to be heavily, heavily targeted. I feel comfortable. What do you guys think?
I like Robert Woods here as far as he's worthy of being drafted here. I don't know if Efron and Tim the Tatman and Juju are watching the stream or not, but I feel like Robert Woods has the better chance to get back to us versus Adam Thielen. But it would be between those 2 players. I would take the gamble and go Thielen and hope Woods gets back to us. But I love Woods, so if we just want to take the guy and not play the game, I'm fine with that.
And I would take Allen Robinson if the pick were up to me. Where are you, Andy?
I think I would take Robert Woods. Jason's right. There's a chance that he would come back to us. We could go back-to-back there. I'll give Jason the pick. He can make it.
Then I will be selecting Adam Thielen.
I heard Adam, like A-T-O-M.
Yes,
Ooh.
Adam.
I don't mind. Look, I'm in on Adam Thielen this year. It is it's the second half of last year, which was so disappointing for fantasy players, that Adam Thielen was hurt, and he tried to be a warrior. He tried to get out there while hurt, and it didn't work out. And when you're playing fantasy football, that is the toughest decision. When you have a stud on your team like Adam Thielen, he's an absolute stud in the NFL, and he's a stud for fantasy football, and they're coming back from injury. You don't know, should I put that player right back in my lineup, because that's a coin flip. Like, oftentimes you'll have a player, I believe James Conner had one where you weren't sure if you should play him, and then he went out. But then he also had a game where he came back, and he was great. And unfortunately for Adam Thielen last year, he burned you. He's dropping. He's going to be an absolute target machine. Stephon Diggs, the 1A or the 1B, however you wanted to look at it, he's not on the team anymore. No one can challenge the skills of Adam Thielen on this team. Yeah, Tim. Yeah, Tim.
I was going to bring up the fact that we were in the range where Juju should be drafted, and I thought if he gets to Juju, could he take 2 picks without taking himself there? But Tim the Tatman does not allow it to happen, taking Juju Smith-Schuster one pick before Juju Smith-Schuster is on the clock. And so now...
So full team for Tim the Tapman right now with that pick of Juju. He took Evans and Juju. He has Saquon and Chubb. I really like that roster. Juju cannot draft himself.
It's very balanced because you have Saquon Barkley, the pass catcher, Nick Chubb. Looked more at the grinder. Kareem Hunt, we fully expect him to come in and take away passing work from Nick Chubb like he did last year. Mike Evans, not the high-volume player, but Juju Smith-Schuster, more of a high-volume player.
Well, Juju made a good pick.
He did.
He took Robert Woods. I think that was a gamble worthy of attempting.
To be honest, I'm shocked that you wanted to take that gamble because of your feelings on Robert Woods, your ranking on Robert Woods compared to Adam Thielen, the health gamble, your risk aversion. I was shocked.
Yeah, I get it. And Robert Woods is not flashy, but he's fantastic. I mean, year after year after year, I'm always banging the drum for Robert Woods. Last year, he was one of my 3 my guys. I'm a big fan, and obviously Juju respects quality wide receivers, and so he's taken him. There are plenty of great wide receivers here, though. I look at the draft board and who's left. Just reading down through the order: Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown, DJ Chark, Tyler Lockett, guys that I know we love.
Oh, snap. Juju on the turn. So we got Robert Woods.
Yeah.
The great PPR pick, and we were just chatting of, do we look at drafting Terry McLaurin, the absolute breakout rookie wide receiver for Washington? Do we consider taking him at the 5-4?
No choice. We don't get to do that.
That will not be happening because he is on Juju Smith-Schuster's team. This is an incredible pick.
Juju listens because these are footballer picks.
Terry
right
McLaurin is one of my guys for this year. I want to try and draft him everywhere I possibly can. I think he's going to be a stud. His route running is already polished. It was not that of a rookie. And then you combine that with an absolute elite athletic profile. Terry McLaurin is going to have a monster season. Christian
McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Jones, Robert Woods, Terry McLaurin for Juju's team. And then Tim the Tapman back on the clock. I think I'm going to be trying to convince you gentlemen to draft another running back here at 504.
Interesting.
So prepare yourselves. Yeah, there are a couple of running backs that I'd be very excited to grab here. I love the depth at wide receiver. I think we will be just fine on the way back through, whether you believe that or not.
That's wild. It is a 2-flex league, so we would be able to plug 2 more running backs into our starting roster. But for a PPR, is that where we want to go? I'm excited to hear the names that you want to talk about.
Well, if I say them now, I know that
I want you to say them now because I want to go wide receiver.
So, you do. Let me put it to you this way: what happens on week 1 if Kenyon Drake's not playing?
Then
you've got a challenge there. Melvin Gordon just went. We're on the clock. Mark Ingram is on the board in the 5th round of this draft. Lead running back for the Baltimore Ravens. Somebody that I think is, look, you're going to be losing a tier at running back. I think when you come back around. Cam Akers is somebody that I'd love to have a shot at in this draft. But at wide receiver, you've got A.J. Brown, you got DK Metcalf, you got Chark, you've got Lockett, you've got Keenan, you've got Hilton, you've got Sutton still on the board. Sutton could be an absolute PPR monster this year. So, I mean, you guys are kind of running this one.
This is a tough pick here because I'd be selecting my guy, DJ Chark, from the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's where I would go with the pick.
I would go with my guy, Tyler Lockett. So we are at a true impasse here, and Andy would go Mark Ingram.
I would take Mark Ingram.
So we're just going to have to give this pick to one of us and allow someone to make the pick. I was given the last pick, so I will
say this. I
will recuse myself.
If I'm taking a running back, I'm taking Jonathan Taylor here, a guy who potentially has a PPR bump. We know that
25 seconds.
We know Mark Ingram won't be catching 50-plus passes.
With a 2-flex,
20 seconds.
The stability of having Mark Ingram is very important here. That would be my pick.
All right, we'll give it to Andy.
Andy got this one.
All right, you'll thank me for that depth later.
It's very possible.
If we come into week 1 and we have one running back out of our first 3 because we went Kenyon Drake and Jonathan Taylor, we will be hurting.
I just like all the draft equity that I am building up here when I get to take our final half of the draft and just pick all my guys.
I think that was the first time I had a.
But no, Jason had a few. I haven't had any yet.
Okay, all right, calm down.
I'm building it up.
Tyler Lockett went next.
Compounding the interest.
It's hard to draft 3 people with different views of the way that we think it should go. But Ingram is a steady Eddie. You're going to be able to put him in there and get value, and maybe tremendous value, like you saw last year.
Dockery with a great pick here.
Tyler Lockett went next. Danny Duncan on the clock. His team right now: Devonte Adams and DJ Moore, wide receiver. Austin Eckler, David Johnson. This is a great team. I mean that team is built for a point per reception format. So we'll see what Danny goes with here. A lot of big names still out there. I'm curious when the next quarterback off the board. I imagine it will be this round. I'm going to predict that right now. I think we'll see another quarterback this round.
Do you mean
maybe another tight end?
The sixth or through these final five
through
picks?
These final 5 picks. DJ Chark off the board.
Oh, Danny's
People
got my
are watching the stream, unfortunately.
Danny's got my DJ stack through the offseason, going through mock drafts. It just kept happening over and over and over that I would be drafting DJ Moore and DJ Chark. I think it's a tremendous combination.
All right. We're at the 7th pick of the 5th round. Supreme Dreams on the clock. Henry and Gurley as running backs. DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper as his wide receivers. Wonder what we're going to see.
Yeah, I mean, he's perfectly balanced here.
Mr. Unlimited could go right here.
Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson could go right here.
He absolutely could.
So this is going to be this is a tougher part of the draft.
So I guess at this point, and I'm speaking just selfishly for our purposes and our team, I guess we're hoping that we have a running back run, right? Now that we've taken that third running back.
So maybe a couple quarterbacks, maybe a tight end or two before it comes back to us at 607.
What's wild is, I mean, I know he's not the
What is the old mercy for, Jason?
I just realized that we are into the back half of the 5th round.
That's
and
what I was going to say. Mark Andrews is still on the board.
Regrets, huh?
I mean, yeah. If we could
have had Chris Godwin and Adam Thielen and come back with Andrews with that 504, and there goes Rob Gronkowski off the board to Supreme Dreams in the 5th round. Nobody has a wider range of where he's being drafted than Rob Gronkowski. Nobody has a wider range of camp reports than Rob Gronkowski. Bruce Arians, this is the Rob Gronkowski of old. Some of the people watching don't agree. Don't agree.
Sure he is.
So yeah.
I'm out on Rob Gronkowski this year. Big name, great, obviously first ballot Hall of Fame tight end, but it's been a long time since we've seen it, and there's 3 tight ends that are all being utilized. They had a scrimmage the other day, and 92-yard drive finishing with a touchdown to Cameron Brate. And sometimes it's going to be O.J. Howard, and sometimes it'll be Gronk. With Mark Andrews out there on the board and Zach Ertz, that's A.J. Brown in the 5th round. There's so much value here right now.
A.J. Brown with the 8th pick. Combining him, Ninja grabbed A.J. Brown and combined him with Tyreek Hill. Talk about win a week with 2-player potential there. Mm-hmm. Those guys, if they go off, you're in trouble. Lamar Jackson can do the same. Ninja's going to have some weeks this year with 4,000 to 5,000 points.
Yeah, the very, very high variance players, at least historically for Tyreek Hill, and in the short span that we saw for A.J. Brown. Brown was far more consistent toward the second half of the year. We'll see if Ryan Tannehill can get him the targets, or do the Titans get more into that mode they had in the playoffs where everything was up to Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown really not a tremendous factor in all the games.
Ryan Garcia with 15 seconds left, Michael Thomas, Kenny Golladay, Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette, and coming back with Keenan Allen in a PPR league in the back of the 5th round. That is a probably do no wrong pick there. I mean, Keenan Allen is going to have a baseline this year. People just don't know about the ceiling.
Yeah, you question the quarterback play. Obviously, he loses Phillip Rivers. You've got Tyrod Taylor in there, and then at some point you expect they might make a change over to the rookie. So there's, that's why he's a wide receiver that's been a top 12 wide receiver 3 years in a row. One of the only ones that have done that, and now here he is at the back of the 5th. But at the same time, he's not going away. He's phenomenal as an actual wide receiver. So if the quarterback quality and volume takes a hit, this is still a good pick here. And Mike Williams probably going to be missing the beginning part of the season.
Yeah, with a shoulder injury.
Keenan Allen, I think, is a very good pick.
All right, Karl Anthony Towns has 2 picks right here as we transition into the 6th round. His team, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Josh Jacobs, Lev Bell.
So
what player has to get back to us for you to give us a big shimmy, Jason?
Tyler Lockett.
Oh, no.
Let's see. When I'm looking at the wide receivers, because we only have one right now in a full PPR 2 flex league, I view Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown. Those are some guys that I think are really good, and hopefully will get back to us. Oh, you were right, Andy.
Just barely.
Just barely. In fact,
I called it.
He could have done it in the other order.
That's right. You did it, man.
There were only 6 picks left, but Russell Wilson went at 5'10". Not surprising. There is that back of your mind hope that Russell Wilson's given the opportunity to do what a Patrick Mahomes does in the offense and throw the ball more. I mean, he has been so efficient in his career, and you have to wonder, like, you can't just extrapolate efficiency forward, like on attempts. You give a guy, 100 extra attempts that year, efficiency is probably going to come down because you're freeing him up to take some more chances.
Yeah, and we all want to see that happen. We all have the hopes and dreams. Russell Wilson has the hopes and dreams that it will happen. I still have hopes and dreams that French fries will be healthy. Some things just are not going to happen.
Pete Carroll, 8 years with Russell Wilson. The record reflects success.
Yeah, but like Pete Carroll.
Why change?
Pete Carroll.
We call him affectionately Peach Cobbler.
Lost a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because they let Russ cook. I mean, I know it was one play, and I'm being kind of hyperbolic here, but literally, you give that ball to Marshawn Lynch, it's unquestionable.
You've got more jewelry on your hand.
That they have won multiple Super Bowls, and I don't see the success that you've had with that for that long. You don't just change your offense. It's very bizarre.
All right. This is what we wanted to see.
Oof.
Some more tight ends and some more quarterbacks off the board. You got 4 picks taken up here. No running backs have gone since we've taken Mark Ingram. Thought I would see a couple more of that tier go, but Rob Gronkowski, Russell Wilson, Zach Ertz, and Tom Brady.
If Ninja grabs Mark Andrews here, and I hope he's not watching.
With the stack?
With the stack with
Lamar
Jackson.
Of course he's watching. But he went DeAndre Swift.
He goes with his Lion.
Yes.
I was going
he had
to
have his line. He couldn't afford to lose his line.
I was going to be so worried about Ninja's team if he grabs Mark Andrews. Thank you, Ninja. All right. DeAndre Swift, he gets now, obviously, he's plugged into the Lions. He's a super Lions fan. And, I hope he is aware that the report came out today that Kerryon Johnson is probably going to start the season as the starter. So I would recommend on the way back next round, you gotta grab the tandem.
Well, he's playing the long game in Detroit. He wants the future, not the past, Jason.
Well,
the past was actually literally last year him selecting Kerryon Johnson.
That is true. DeAndre Swift was your highest valued rookie prior to the NFL draft.
Pure talent-wise.
Pure talent.
Yeah,
you're
based
scouting.
on pass catching and.
Yeah, I mean Swift is an absolute great running back.
He'll be the third down back instantly as soon as he's back from injury.
The question is just
that's what I was going to bring up is how much camp time he's actually missing.
Yeah. So we are back here. Supreme Dreams went with Gronkowski. So another quarterback here maybe. Gurley, Henry, Hopkins, Cooper, Gronkowski, and Danny Duncan, Real Dockery, and us, the next 3 picks. This is coming down to the wire again. Can he top Gronk? Probably not. He did take Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, which is look.
It's good for us now.
It's good for the sanity of this table because if Jonathan Taylor had made it back to 6-7,
sure,
and we could have taken Lockett or Chark,
yes,
and then ended up with Jonathan Taylor,
there are plenty.
It would have ripped my soul apart.
Yeah. I mean, I have. There's a couple players here. One that I know Jason's looking at our pick here in the 6th round that he'd be very excited about. But you do have only 2 running backs have gone since we picked Ingram. So maybe the wrong call. We'll find out. Danny Duncan on the clock. Went DJ Moore, DJ Chark. DJ Fluker still available.
Ooh, that would have been a great pick, but Raheem Mostert.
Another running back. And Deshaun Watson. So we are on the clock. We are sitting here with the opportunity to take Cortland Sutton and Hollywood Brown Both guys still on the board. Stephon Diggs, I think he's going to be heavily targeted as well. To me, I'd probably make the pick with Cortland Sutton right here.
That is what I would do as
Mike,
well.
why don't you make the pick?
Can I get DJ Chark? Is that possible?
When another team selects a player, you no longer are eligible to take them.
Of the players left, I would be going with Cortland Sutton. I think I believe in the breakout. Going with Drew Lock he's unproven. He won, and he won without really getting Cortland Sutton to put up big numbers. But you got to hope that with a full offseason, Drew Lock as the captain, so to speak, of the team, that we get Cortland Sutton back where he needs to go.
All right.
Someone here is going to get the best value I've ever seen on Mark Andrews.
I know. And it's probably not going to be Team Efron, who already has Travis Kelce, and it's probably not going to be us, who already has George Kittle.
Yeah, it's one of those things people might be wondering.
It's probably going to be Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, probably will be. People are, maybe wondering, well, would you take that second tight end once he falls to such a great value? And the answer is still no, because it's not just a matter of
There is
getting,
a place where if he fell far enough, absolutely I would take it.
Yes, and the place is when we feel confident in our depth at running back and wide receiver, which right now we don't feel confident with our depth at wide receiver, or at least that last pick we only had one. It's not just a matter of, is this player good at this spot? It's, what am I giving up if I take that player at this spot?
Still not off the board. Ronald Jones and DK Metcalf.
Oh, Juju smashed Mark Andrews as fast as he could. His team is looking
Why does it bother
beast.
us emotionally for someone else to get a great pick and to get a great value?
I would say human nature, because
that means we didn't get it.
There is a player. We'll have to make some decisions here, but there are a number of running backs that are interesting. There are a number of wide receivers that are very interesting here, including T.Y. Hilton and Hollywood Brown and Stephon Diggs and A.J. Green and who we dubbed the Flying V yesterday on the show, Will Fuller, Michael Gallup. There are some very interesting names on the board for us here if we don't go with another position. But I will make a few suggestions to you guys here. Mike, did you slam the table there?
I ran into it with my watch.
I thought it was like, darn.
No. Well, look.
Juju's team is unbelievable.
I think I would straight up trade teams. I would usually in a draft you look and you love your team. This one is very difficult because we all have our own roster construction methods. But when I look at Juju's team, being able to start with Christian McCaffrey, usually when you take Patrick Mahomes early, that's going to ruin your depth. But in a 10 team, and when you got Mark Andrews on the 6-7 turn, his team is fantastic.
And now he has taken another value pick, David Montgomery, which the big news of the week was David Montgomery went down to a non-contact injury in practice. The alerts went out because when you hear a player in training camp goes down to non-contact, your brain instantly goes to ACL, that this player is out for the season. Thankfully, it was not. It turned out it was just a groin injury. My groin. And then David Montgomery was given the timeline, 2 to 4 weeks. David Montgomery is a running back who would have been drafted in, the 4th round or so?
Oh, T.Y. Hilton just went. 7th round. All right, Hollywood Brown is there. We could go wide receiver with Hollywood. Not exactly a PPR type of machine. Last year, big playability. Stephon Diggs is there. A.J. Green is there. What about Kyler Murray in the 7th round of a 10-team league where differences at quarterback? I mean, Mahomes, Jackson, Russell, Brady, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. Do you want to take a shot at that advantage here?
No. In a 10-team league, the quarterback 10 or the quarterback 15, even if half the league takes 2 quarterbacks, is going to be phenomenal. I don't think it's worth ruining. We only have 2 wide receivers right now. To me, obviously, he's one of my guys, but I would be going to Hollywood here with this pick and have the upside.
Are you all right having Mark Ingram and Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, I am.
30 seconds.
I know you guys also like A.J. Green. I've been more out on the injury side, but I think it's between those 2 players.
It is between those 2 guys for me as well. Andy, where are you? We only have 20 seconds.
I would go with A.J. Green.
Mike, you built up the draft capital, and we give it to you now.
This is not where I want to use
We give it to you now.
15 seconds,
15
Mike.
seconds. You have to make the pick.
Look, I want the new hotness.
All right, my man, going to Hollywood.
Look, there's
Hollywood Brown at 704. Great. He has upside potential. Got to stay healthy. I'm worried about health in general with our team, to be honest with you. Kenyon Drake currently being banged up. George Kittle's currently banged up. Adam Thielen last year struggles with health, and Hollywood Brown struggles with health. A.J. Green goes next to Real Dockery. Danny Duncan on the clock, Supreme Dreams after that, and then Ninja.
You know, Dockery has taken a lot of – we wanted Tyler Lockett. Cooper Kupp's one of your guys. A.J. Green we're talking about. He has a lot of picks that I just really like the value where he got them.
All right, we talked about JuJu's team. It's turning out very nice. Is there another team that stands out to you when you look at the board? Like Tim the Tatman went 2 big running backs to start the draft, Barkley and Chubb. Came back with 4 dynamic wide receivers, Evans, Juju, Ridley, Metcalf.
That is exactly how I like to build a team. I mean, Tim the Tatman is the one that sticks out to me as far as once you get those first stud running backs to just keep going wide receiver in a full PPR 2 flex league. That's how I would like to build it. I still think his team would be like we're comparing him and Juju as 2 of the best teams out here. It's just a matter of where Mark Andrews landed there. If Mark Andrews was taken right before, that value just puts one of those teams over the top.
And Tim also grabbed Dak Prescott, last year's quarterback, too, while at the
every shot at being the top guy this year, too, with that offense.
Yeah, absolutely. With the addition of CeeDee Lamb.
And his guy.
And, yeah, he is. Yeah, Tim's a Cowboys guy. The CeeDee Lamb is the first-round pick, a rookie wide receiver who is, in a lot of people's opinion, including mine, the best wide receiver prospect in this group. The breakout of tight end sensation that is going to sweep the nation, Blake Jarwin, my guy. I am all aboard with Blake Jarwin having a great season. Dak Prescott there is, I think that's an excellent pick. And to follow up, Jay, what you were saying about Mark Andrews, like Tim didn't get Mark Andrews. Yeah, but, he might get Darren Waller. And we're all projecting, fewer targets for Darren Waller. But Waller is a PPR tight end, where Mark Andrews is the big play. If you miss on the big play,
okay, so
you're a little bit upset.
So if we're worried about Tim's team, would you want Ninja then to take Darren Waller right here? Keep him away.
Look, if Ninja were to take Darren Waller here, I think it would just be really unfortunate for Tim.
That's true. I think Ninja has a very good. There he goes. Well done.
At PPR,
well
I like Waller as a foundational tight end. Kyler, Aaron Rodgers, Darren Waller.
This league's going to be tough. A
lot of people are asking, and I wouldn't bring this up if it wasn't all over the chat, but, I mean, they want to know who won this league last year.
Oh, that's a great question. I remember now that it was us. We were the champions, and I guess that means we
currently are the
we
champions.
are the champions of the Sleeper Bowl. So,
now, you know who really wins, though, is we've got a $10,000 donation being made on behalf of the winner's charity.
Yes.
So shout out to Sleeper, the Sleeper platform, putting on this draft and then coming strong with the donation to the winner's charity, which is awesome. I mean, that's why we played last year. That's why we're playing this year. It's fun to play fantasy, and it's even cooler when it goes to a great cause. So shout out to Sleeper for that.
And looking forward very much to getting St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital another $10,000.
Yeah, they're kind of leaning on it at this point because it's so consistent.
They just assume that they're going to get it from the champions.
Yeah, they budget it based on our historical evidence.
Well, I just know that historically saying we have 100% championship rate in the Sleeper Bowl.
The math checks out.
Yeah.
So
I agree. We're amazing.
I expect us to win this year.
All right, 2 picks for Karl Anthony Towns coming up. Stephon Diggs went at 709. Look, that's a steal.
Maybe.
Mike doesn't agree. I think it's a steal. Stephon Diggs is one of the better route runners and players in the NFL, and going at the back of the 7th round, behind some players that have more question marks in my mind.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I love A.J. Green, but it's been a while, and he's older. Stephon Diggs is an acquisition for a good team that should probably win the division.
I am a big believer of where Stephon Diggs is going in drafts right now, that he is a value.
Gregory Green says Diggs is overrated, though. So,
well, if Gregory says it. I will say this, though. The Bills had a scrimmage, and I don't know the reason, but Diggs was not out there. So he could be dealing with an injury right now.
All right. Did not know that. That was this morning?
I believe it was yesterday.
Were they trying to not highlight the inaccuracies of Josh Allen for the scrimmage?
Actually, ironically, all the news was that
how
Josh
good
Allen
was
phenomenal, but he didn't have Diggs out there. So maybe nowhere to go but up.
All right. Tyler Boyd off the board at 7-10. One more pick here for Karl Anthony Towns. Our team right now, Alvin Kamara, Kenyon Drake, Mark Ingram at running back. George Kittle, difference maker at tight end. Adam Thielen, Cortland Sutton, Hollywood Brown. 3 number ones in their respective offenses. There are a couple of running backs I'm hoping drop to us. There's some wide receivers that we like, including the Flying V, Michael Gallup, and others.
Yeah.
Deante Johnson still on the board.
Yeah, I've got
JuJu's teammate.
Couple of wide receivers here that I'm hoping slip down the board.
I feel like you guys are both mentally just wanting to pound wide receivers here, but we also have wide receivers that we like a lot that go much later. There are a number of rookies that we've taken shots on as well.
Sure.
So
sure.
I'm just
trying to get the best players. Would you agree with that, Jason? We're trying to get the best players. Andy's trying to take the worst players over here. I don't know what he's trying to do with our team.
I think we're in a full PPR 2 flex. Usually the flex will end up.
Well, there goes
receivers.
that. It's Karl Anthony Towns has selected Michael Gallup.
Yeah, that was the name I was hoping got back to us as well. Didn't get all that close.
No, he did not. The tension was not allowed to build. And quick, hey. If you're on the stream, if you're watching, having a good time with us, thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending your Saturday with us. If you're not familiar with us, we are the Fantasy Footballers. We have a podcast. It's all about fantasy football. It's all about having a good time and winning your league. And
we release way too many episodes.
We have an episode Monday through Friday, so 5 shows a week. August through December. We're going to help you win your league. We're going to help you have a good time.
And if you're in this league with us and you're watching the stream, please tune out and do not listen to the Waiver Wire Pickup Show.
But if you're new to the show, wherever you're watching, there's a subscribe button somewhere.
It's free. We don't charge you nothing to click that subscribe button.
Yeah.
You just click it, and then you win your league. We can't. We can't do that. We don't have the technology.
That's a shame.
Devin Singletary at 8:02 to Ryan Garcia. Ninja back on the clock.
Devin Singletary is.
Let's talk about Ninja's team while he's on the clock, in order to, because I want to hear that, but he's also thinking Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Carson, Deandre Swift at running back, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown at wide receiver, Chris Carson, 4th round pick there. Mike was jealous. Darren Waller off the board in the 7th.
I like that.
And really the key here, Ninja, is just don't make the wrong pick. You have a lot of options. There are some that are right, and then there are some that are very, very wrong, and you'll regret it.
Yeah,
Devonte Parker.
That's
a
pretty
good pick.
Yeah, that's a shame. I was going to recommend N'Keal Harry, but Devonte Parker had the breakout.
He's untrollable
in year 5. There's questions, right? Can you really believe it? After seeing so much poor Devonte Parker, can you believe what we saw last year? And then the quarterback question of, Fitz magic. Will the magic stay around? Will they switch over to Tua?
It never has, but
no, it never has.
It's always a temporary spell for Ryan Fitzmagic.
Well, do you know how much energy it takes to produce that level of magic?
No, I actually do not.
Yeah, I don't either. I assume it's exhausting. He has to spend the whole entire offseason with cauldrons and
there's a lot of
what do wizards do?
Newt's eyes
Hat
or something.
Shopping.
I don't know. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, he'll be throwing to Devontae Parker at least to start the year, probably longer than that. I'm starting to build confidence both in Tyrod Taylor, Ryan Fitzpatrick, those guys to end up with a majority of the season. So,
can I ask you a question, Andy?
No, I'm sorry. Will Fuller off the board at 8:04. Of course you can.
Do you regret taking Mark Ingram now, the way that the draft has played out? Do you look at it and say, I like the running backs here. I wish we had another, stud wide receiver there?
No, not really. I don't think there's a manifold difference between picking up, Tyler Lockett and Cortland Sutton this year at all. And getting Hollywood in the 7th round.
Well, but we would have him in addition. It's not Tyler Lockett versus Cortland
because you would have
Sutton.
just wanted to go 4 wide receivers in a row?
Well, I'm saying right now we could get a running back that I think is, in the
We're going to
similar
need him.
tier.
We're going to need him. That's what we preach all the time. We talk about depth at running back. That is the harder.
That running back is gone.
It's a harder position to find. Oh, Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt directly before us.
Those were the 2 guys.
And we didn't get them.
No, those were good
Look,
picks.
Mark Ingram, you can put in your lineup each and every week. We're double flexed. We're going to need the depth. You'll thank me later.
Now, I want to highlight a player. Let me see if I can talk you guys into this.
I'm in.
Oh, man, I didn't even have to say who it was. This is excellent.
Jules?
All right, Jason, let me try and talk you into
All right.
He is this will be us stacking on San Francisco, so we're all in on them and Baltimore apparently, but the number 1 wide receiver for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, he would not be here in the draft had he not had the foot problem. But
he's sprinting.
All reports are very positive for Deebo. Maybe he misses a week, but when the news broke, we weren't sure if Deebo was going to be out a month.
30 seconds.
But everything is really trending towards Deebo.
So I have no
missing minimal
Deebo or
time.
Jules. If you think the PPR value of Julian Edelman, those would be
I
a
have
couple
no problem with Deebo. I would probably take Julian Edelman or Brandon Cooks ahead of him, but I don't look at Deebo as a bad pick here. So
Great, then we will take it.
you get him.
All right, we went with Deebo, Sutton, Hollywood Brown, and Deebo. So, Jason, you asked me the question.
See, now that's hot.
You asked me the question. Do you regret the Mark Ingram pick? Because this is, in fact, your team as well. Do you regret going Mark Ingram with what we've got back at – because that was the gamble. What do you get back at wide receiver? Sutton, Hollywood, Deebo.
Yeah.
Happy, sad? How do you feel?
I'm happy. I think our roster is fine. I still regret it because I think we probably would have taken Cam Akers the previous pick at the 7-4. And so would I rather have Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton, and Cam Akers, or Mark Ingram, Cortland Sutton, and Marquise Brown? I would probably rather have the more known commodity wide receiver in Tyler Lockett over the hopeful upside of Marquise Brown. And I love both those
that's
guys.
The exact inverse at running back. The
Right.
known commodity in Ingram versus the upside of Cam Akers. Mike, how do you weigh in on that debate?
I still have my concerns about taking Mark Ingram there simply because of the PPR. I know that Ingram isn't going to catch, doesn't have the upside to me of catching 40+ passes at the running back position.
Julian Edelman goes right after us.
But if Ingram can keep up anything close to the touchdown pace that he had last year, then we will be very happy.
All right, you've got Julian Edelman at 808, like Jason said. Tim the Tapman back on the clock following the Dak Prescott pick. And then JuJu's got a couple of picks. JuJu has been picking faster than anybody in this draft.
He's prepared.
James White gone at 809.
James White was a name I was going to bring up when we were back on the clock. I
would have brought it down.
As a PPR league, running back depth. And that's fine. He's certainly not someone I would have demanded we take. I just thought for the running backs that are left in a full PPR league this late, I like him.
All right. We are – as soon as I said JuJu was super fast with the picks, we're going to wait on him. He's got time, though. This is take your time, make the right pick.
He's got 2 picks
Or
to make.
take your time and wait for Mark Andrews to drop to you with the 10th pick of the 6th round.
Man, that is such good
I think
value.
it's based on where Mark Andrews dropped, it is JuJu's obligation to just pass on these 2 picks. Just throw them away.
At least auto draft.
Yes.
Just you don't have to you get nobody, but you don't get to choose who you receive.
All right, we are we're looking around. We've got 4 out of the past 5 rounds we've taken a wide receiver. What are you thinking about with us 3 picks away right now?
So JuJu just took Brandon Cooks, which at this point it's a tremendous pick. We've been talking recently on the show of both Will Fuller V, the Flying V, and Brandon Cooks. One of them is going to be a breakout really, really helpful for your fantasy team. We're not sure who it's going to be. So I think that's a great pick by Juju there. Tim comes back with Evan Ingram. That hurts my body a lot because of what I believe in Evan Ingram. He is a proven player. The only thing standing
it hurts him because you don't have him?
It hurts because that's great for his team.
Gotcha.
Like, Ingram is one of the very few remaining actual PPR getting a high volume of targets, high volume of receptions. Evan Ingram could be the number one target for the New York Giants, and I have Daniel Jones taking another step forward and being a breakout quarterback for the NFL and for fantasy this year. So that just compounds. That hurts.
You didn't mention Hayden Hurst going right before him, a second tight end for Juju.
Sure.
Which is great news for us in the sense that back-to-back tight ends going ahead of us pushes other players down. We have Travis Kelce. We're not going to leave this draft with
Somebody said
tight
12 personnel. He's going to run 12 personnel.
Yes.
Get 2 tight ends on the field.
I said we have Travis Kelce. I forgot. We have George Kittle.
We do.
Travis Kelce went right before us.
Team Efron on the clock, 20 seconds left. Had Hilton and Edelman the last 2 rounds. Both value picks, I think, in this format. Allen Robinson, he took him right after Mike wanted him. So Mike seemed like he was from the Thielen pick through Ingram. You weren't happy with those 2.
Look, I'm fine. I really do like Adam Thielen a lot. We are on the clock now, and see, now is the time I feel like I've really got to cash in my draft equity. I believe that Antonio Gibson will turn into a league-winning running back. I also believe that we won't get him if we pass on him in this round. Now, I think I can get Jason on board.
I'm already
with
on
this,
board.
With this pick.
That would be
Andy,
who I would pick.
If you're not taking Gibson here, who are you taking?
I'm fine with Gibson here.
You know,
I would have, if Jarvis Landry had been on the clock with 132 targets from last season in a PPR league, I would have gone with Jarvis Landry.
I was going to bring him up. That was I was between Jarvis and Antonio Gibson when we were 1 pick away. When Jarvis went, I thought, okay, I know you're going to argue for Gibson, so this makes it easy on us.
Quarterback-wise, every team after us in this round has a quarterback. So somebody would be having to double up for us not to get a name that we like at quarterback later on, whether it's the 10th round or later than that. In fact, every team in the league except for Team Efron has a quarterback, which is what it adds to what Jason was saying earlier in the draft.
And there are 6 quarterbacks that I still love that I would, you know what I mean, like that are fine. So even if multiple quarterbacks go, I don't think we're in any kind of a worry.
Mike's just like you totally rejuvenated with Antonio Gibson on the roster.
The weight has been removed from me. I didn't want to leave this draft without Antonio Gibson, and I was starting to get a little bit shaky. I didn't know where this team was going, the makeup of the team. Could we get Antonio Gibson on there? Do we have to engage in fisticuffs over this table?
Probably not. Harder on the live stream. On the live stream.
One of the nice things about Gibson is that this is full PPR, and he is a converted wide receiver, so he's going to be used in the passing game. So even if he doesn't overtake Adrian Peterson, he's probably going to have plenty of weeks where he is usable in fantasy. You can put him in there, roster the player, and you'll get enough points in a given week, even without the complete breakout.
All right, we are into the late 9th round in Sleeper Bowl 20. We're doing our best to build a roster to run it back, try to get that back-to-back title, and rub it in Ninja's face, who is on the clock. Noah Fant, Tevin Coleman, CeeDee Lamb. Oof. We are in a round of, we're moving into that lottery ticket, taking your shot, planting your flag. Gibson, Fant, Coleman, Lamb, and now Ninja back on the clock after Devontae Parker. There's some names that I'll bring up, and you guys will be mad that I brought them up.
We're at the point where it's all right.
But Jameson Crowder had 120 targets last year. He's the certifiable number 1 in the Jets offense.
You know I like Crowder.
Pronounced Crowder.
He probably doesn't like that.
No, probably not.
But there are also,
of course he does. We're talking about him on a fantasy football draft.
Deante Johnson was another name I was going to bring up. He just went in the 9th round.
Okay.
It's a great.
Very popular.
It's a great
sleeper
shot
pick.
at a breakout, yeah. I am curious now. He won't probably come back to us just based on how traditional ADP goes, but we took Ingram at 504. At what point would you be like, oh, I'd like to have J.K. Dobbins on this roster? All camp reports say that he has earned himself a weekly role on the team, which might be 3rd down opportunities, maybe some occasional first and second downs. But obviously there are certain situations like Cleveland. If Nick Chubb goes down, Kareem Hunt is a league winner. If Mark Ingram went down, J.K. Dobbins is a league winner. Would you go?
I would be fine considering him at the next pick. It's really just a matter of, who else is in consideration. But the disparity between Jonathan Taylor, who is, a highly touted, very productive collegiate running back who's coming into his rookie year in a very good running situation. He's got a good offensive line, but there's a pretty good running back ahead of him right now in Marlon Mack. The disparity between where Jonathan Taylor gets drafted and where J.K. Dobbins, who fits that almost to a T, a really good, highly touted, great collegiate production back who's on maybe the best running team in the NFL, but has a good running back ahead of him. The fact that you're taking one in the third round and the other you can get in double-digit rounds says Dobbins is probably a value.
All right, we're up to Karl Anthony Towns here at the back of the ninth, start of the 10th round. Zach Moss just went.
With
Zach
Devin
Moss
Singletary.
running back. Zach Moss.
Oh, locked up the Buffalo
running
backfield.
back in Buffalo. By the way, just to remind everybody, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex, 1 defense. We need to grab a defense by the end of this draft.
Pshaw.
All right, we do, Mike. Well, maybe
now,
we don't. Are
do
we required
we have to by rule?
I don't think that we have
That's
to.
a producer question. Probably not.
There are no rules.
There are no rules. I don't think we did last year, actually. If I recall, I don't think we took a defense last year.
You're darn right.
But everybody else should. You know what I mean?
Savvy. Yes,
in the 10th
you should
round.
probably take a backup.
I would double up.
There goes J.K. Dobbins.
All right.
Carl.
In the 9th round.
Carl.
That's okay.
Carl.
Now, I'm going to ask the question early here. No, I'm not. I'm going to let it go. Marlon Mack's still on the board, the incumbent in Indianapolis at running back. Carrion, who you just said is probably going to start the year as the starter. Damian Harris, Sony Michel, some deeper names at running back.
You think Carrion's getting past Ninja here?
Actually, he might not. If he took Carrion here, I'm not. It'd be fun to make the troll like Lions fan, but it's not a bad pick in the 10th round.
It's not a bad pick. He's got DeAndre Swift already, so similar to what King Ryan's doing over there with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, similar to what we were discussing, taking Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins, kind of securing a backfield. I'll be honest, I don't generally like having a whole backfield on my roster because I feel like I never can drop one of them. Sometimes I don't know who to start. If there's not some great clarity moment that comes early in the season, I generally end up regretting it.
Yeah, and I think that's true, but I would say that with a situation where you get it late and you can make that decision in week 1 where it's murky,
that's fair.
It's a little bit more – I'm more open to it.
And on top of that, so it's this league is 5 bench, and it has the extra flex. So – you have another 10 players that are being rostered.
I was curious if you were thinking that.
That's what I didn't bring up.
But that was the name
Drew
I was
Brees
going
off the
to
board.
fight for if he came back to us.
You wouldn't have had to fight. In fact, when we got there, I would have brought up to you, Jason, is there a quarterback a tier above the rest that you don't want to lose right here before Team Efron?
I wanted the Kamara stack.
So
I thought Drew Brees, Kamara as a pass-catching running back would be fun. I'm totally fine. I don't feel like, oh, no, we're not going to have a good quarterback. There's
Ryan, Josh Allen, Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford, Cam Newton.
Give me any
those 5 are probably
and then
the ones I'd be content. In this league, though, I know you made the point, there's a lot available. But if you don't get the guy that you think can at least be in the middle of the pack, you are at a deficiency at quarterback every week in this league.
Yeah, but I think if we stream against the right matchup, we will actually have – because here's what we're going to do. We're going to play Teddy Bridgewater in the right matchup in a certain week, and he's going to be a top 6 quarterback for that week. And then we're going to release him and pick up Phillip Rivers or Gardner Minshew or someone for the next matchup. And, and I think we'll be fine. And while, you don't have the ease of just plugging in Drew Brees and letting it ride, Jameson Crowder
off the board. Ryan Garcia takes him.
Yeah, you don't have
120 target wide receiver in the 10th round of a PPR.
That's pretty good. That is good value. Jameson Crowder in a full PPR should have gone probably ahead of quite a few of these wide receivers.
That's another really good draft. Ryan Garcia, Michael Thomas, Kenny Galladay, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Jameson Crowder at wide receiver in a 2-flex PPR.
And now Ninja got the starter for
Yeah.
the Detroit Lions backfield.
Now, Bo Scarborough still available for the next round.
Ooh, that's a good point.
We can do it.
Is he going to Scarborough Fair though?
Man.
No, you got not
If
into
I-
into Simon and Garfunkel jokes.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Or not? They're not hot.
Look, if I knew where they're,
Yeah.
I'm going to combine that with the. I don't know what else I have.
I
for you.
accept.
Number 2.
All right, Supreme Dreams on the clock after the CeeDee Lamb pick, Cam Newton. So, look, I know what you're saying, Jason, about streaming the quarterback position. I also know that you just said, we're going to play Teddy Bridgewater to give us that big week. Streaming, we do it every year, and we're able to make that selection. If every team has 2 quarterbacks in this league,
What did we do? If every team has 2 quarterbacks, then 20
ours-
quarterbacks would be rostered, and there were 40. There's 40 plus, top 12 players every single year at quarterback as far as weekly.
I
finish.
appreciate the confidence. It is one part being able to stream them. It's one part being able to identify that. That's all I'm saying.
What did we do last year?
We won the championship.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I genuinely meant like with our quarterback. I don't remember. Did we have?
We had Kyler last year for
Okay.
most of the year.
Yeah, and we did play him a lot. And he
There's
was
a
okay.
quarterback that I will fight for with this next pick that it just went, and now we can't.
Oh, that's great because he would not have been the quarterback. I have 3 quarterbacks on the board that I would much rather have than Josh Allen.
Man.
and I'm surprised that you don't feel the same way.
Yeah, because you're you're in the 10th round. You have a shot at taking a player that, go look at what Evan Silva's picked this year for the breakout that Lamar Jackson year is Josh Allen. I'm in that category of there's a 20% chance that, or a 15% chance that he can have that year. They've equipped him with Stephon Diggs. He's already an elite fantasy option. There's the chance. And having one of those guys, look, I know what I'm getting in Matt Ryan. All right? I don't know what the ceiling is for Josh Allen yet. So I'd love to have one shot at that over, somebody else.
I would say we know what the ceiling is for Matt Ryan, and it's a top 3 quarterback.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. So you're fighting for Matt Ryan?
No, I am
okay.
not fighting
All
for
right.
Matt Ryan. I'm fine taking Matt Ryan.
Real Dockery here on the clock.
So we're up.
On the clock.
We're up next, and honestly,
wait,
No, that was funny.
my
Mine was
Simon
funny.
and Garfunkel joke, which was an absolute smash, got jeers,
Yeah.
and then he goes with on the clockery, Jason. And there's
no, that was
nothing?
terrible. That you need to. That deserves. I would go
yourself.
crickets, but we're
I-
0 for 2 in jokes.
You can vote on that.
We're 1-0 as far as championships.
You
We're
just
on
didn't
the-
set up the Scarborough joke. You just dropped it.
All right, we
You
are
needed
on
to
the
set it up.
clock.
Madison off the board.
I think that's a good pick. I love
Dockery has Dalvin Cook, so getting the
fantastic.
Marlon Mack still on the board.
So Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford. Those are 3 great quarterbacks.
Let's wait for the next pick.
Those. You want to roll the dice?
Why not?
Okay.
I mean, maybe Efren takes one, and the other teams are going to be taking a second, the Dak and the Mahomes team. I'd rather let them think that they're beating us by taking a second quarterback there.
Okay.
Marvin Jones still available. Jalen Reagor. Let's take Jalen Reagor.
Over Jerry Jeudy?
Yes.
Yeah, I would be taking Rager over Jerry Jeudy.
I think it's been a while since I made a pick, so.
I know your affinity for Jerry Jeudy, but everything is pointing way up for Jalen Reagor.
I love both players.
And also, I don't need to have Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy
No.
on my
Oh,
team.
that's a good point.
All right, Jalen Reagor, opportunity to contribute from day one, 10th round pick.
Super fast. I
think we
loved
come
his
back, and
college
if they
tape.
take some of our quarterbacks, then we just take what's left at 11:04. You guys comfortable with that?
Yeah.
We can
yeah,
just
I'm-
pronounce it right now. Try to take them all.
Yeah.
Try to
that's
take
fine.
them all. Mike used to do this in our drafts all the time. We'd all try to, he'd wait till the very end, like 10 years ago in our League of Record. He'd wait till the very end, and everybody just looking at him going, you don't have a quarterback.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, you don't have a quarterback. We're going to steal your quarterback.
Yes.
And there were too
And-
many to steal.
And people, yeah, exactly. People
They would try.
They would draft their third quarterback to get you, and then you'd go, okay, I'll just take what's left, and you were fine. That's the point here, and I do think we'll be able to very successfully stream the position. I think that because we have always done that.
All right, Team Efren with 20 seconds left. curious if he will take a quarterback here. He does not have one. Or is he going to keep waiting?
So for our quarterback, I assume we will be looking at it on the way back.
Okay, and he did. Matt Ryan's gone.
Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford.
Okay, so I do like going into the season with a stack.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz with Jalen Reagor, I would be okay with that. I don't think at this point I would be taking Drew Lock. If we're going to enter the season with Drew Lock, he would be like our last pick, probably.
Man,
I hope Carson Wentz comes back to us.
What you are saying makes me regret the Jalen Reagor pick because I think a great.
I love Reagor.
No,
there.
I love it too. But think about
Marvin Jones.
We took Marvin Jones and then came back with Stafford. I would love that stack. That's a week-winning, and you already know that Marvin Jones is going to have 4 week-winning performances,
and that's it. The rest of the week,
maybe.
The rest of the weeks, you can't start him.
It was between Reagor and Marvin Jones on that pick for me.
So does Reagor, let's say Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford are both available. Does having Reagor really push you to?
Not fully. I was saying I'd like to have the stack, but I just wanted to get the conversation going of I'm okay taking Wentz. Stafford it's pretty exciting to draft Matthew Stafford based off of what he was doing last year. It was only 8 games before he was shut down for the season with the back injury, but he was just torching people for fantasy football, and it's a bit wild to me that people are that worried about the injury for Matt Stafford and overlooking what he really did in those first 8 weeks. He was on a pace to throw for over 5,000 yards, which throwing for over 5,000 yards is not done. It's happened just a handful of times in the history of the NFL. So Stafford is an exciting pick to me. Carson Wentz, even though it gives us the stack with Reagor, it's not an exciting pick for me.
One of the things that I like is that we know Ninja is a Lions fan. And so taking Stafford has at least that added value of giving us joy, especially if we end up beating Ninja head-to-head and we do it with his quarterback. That would just, little pieces of happiness.
Right. Carson Wentz has the upside of he had an incredible season, considering the weapons that he had.
Oh, look at this.
So if Jalen Reagor adds to the equation, what is the upside? I mean, we've seen MVP upside from him.
Juju knows that his Steelers defense is good, grabs his guys early. I love that pick. Usually we're like, wait on defense, make it your last or your second last pick. But if you play for that team, you grab them and you make sure you get them.
So, Tim the Tap Man on the clock, I'm going to say this. I think we should take Carson Wentz. And I think we should try to make one of the people after us take Matthew Stafford. Because multiple teams, Danny Duncan, Supreme Dreams, Karl Anthony Towns, they've all got quarterbacks. And if Ninja just takes, I think we could end up with the stack is my point. And we can go back and forth between
you're saying
Carson Wentz and Matthew Stafford.
Get the platoon.
I think you take Carson Wentz.
Okay.
We can spend 90 seconds mocking Ninja into taking Matthew Stafford as a second quarterback to a Lamar Jackson team.
Yeah, if you've got Lamar Jackson, you don't really usually draft another quarterback.
But maybe he will.
Maybe he will.
So that might be a fun round and a half. But we might not have the choice. We'll see what happens here.
Maybe Efron does the stack back-to-back quarterbacks, and he does.
And, Matthew Stafford's going to be our quarterback now.
All right. So he takes Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan.
What is happening on this draft?
There's multiple. Everybody's got multiples. Are we cool with Matthew Stafford?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the pick. Efron again.
What is happening?
What's happening is we're live streaming our strategy to the world, Mike. That's what's happening in this draft.
I love it. Efron has.
We need an alternate stream that we supply these people with. We pre-record it.
Yes, exactly. Just absolute nonsense. He adhered to the late round quarterback as we're doing, and then basically did what we wanted to do.
He did.
Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz back to back in the 10th and 11th. I mean, I would rather have that than taking a 5th, 6th round on Kyler, who we love for a breakout.
I'll tell you what you look back at the draft. The Kittle-Andrews situation is one that you look at and you say, man, we could have had Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin at that point. That was one of the defining points in the draft, obviously 5th, 6th round as well. But, man, a lot of teams with 2 quarterbacks. A lot of them. Christian Kirk off the board.
And I think that's really common. Most home leagues, people will take – when you get to these late rounds and the names are, uninspiring, we'll say, you've got to have things break right for a player to do well, or there's, Matthew Stafford and Carson Wentz on the board. You're going to take – well, I know that player is going to be important, is going to score fantasy points versus taking your shot on, a rookie that – might break out, but odds are will probably be, a bust for fantasy.
All right, we have Jerry Jeudy off the board. Now Supreme Dreams is on the clock. Danny Duncan went Jerry Jeudy. Marvin Jones.
Quickly grabbing Marvin Jones
at
Jr.
11:07, ahead of the obvious Marvin Jones pick by Ninja.
Oh,
so stopped Ninja from taking that.
That is true.
Matt Patricia's still available, Ninja. You can select Matt Patricia. Matt Breida off the board.
Quickly goes Breida.
Ryan Garcia up next.
Breida's an interesting pick. There has been, it's a little
bit of buzz.
Little tiny whispers from the bushes have been talking about Matt Breida.
For those of you out
being
there,
very featured for the team, for the Dolphins.
For those of you out there that are not familiar with the show, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, you've heard us talk about late round quarterback a lot. We just took Matthew Stafford in the 11th round. I'm going to read to you available quarterbacks right now. Daniel Jones, tough early season schedule. Okay, maybe he's out on the streaming candidate. Big Ben. Big Ben was an elite quarterback option last time we saw him. Joe Burrow, some upside there.
Could break out.
Baker Mayfield was an early pick last year. Jared Goff, one of our best value picks, still available. Ryan Tannehill.
And Ryan Tannehill.
I mean, he set the league on fire last year.
He was, I think it was the quarterback 3 from the time, week 7 is when he took over, and the rest of the season he was a top-end fantasy quarterback. So he's there. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, if you want to tie yourself to a Kyle Shanahan offense, that's never a bad idea. And then
sure.
we've got Gardner Minshew.
Carr, Cousins, Locke, Minshew.
Oh, yeah, if we want the stack with Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen. I mean, the options really
Mike
are.
will be pining for some late round Gardner.
No, I'm lamenting that. So Ryan Garcia,
he had not taken a tight end.
At the back of the 11th round, did not have a tight end on his team. And he drafted Hunter Henry.
Well, that is a really smart thing to do in a 10-team league. If you don't take the top,
wait
as long as you possibly can. If you don't have the top performers, you're going to get a value on somebody like Hunter Henry. And look, Higbee, Cook, those guys are still on the board.
Yeah, no,
I was going to look. As we got closer to our pick, I don't draft 2 tight ends
unless you're forced to.
But we've on the show have had it back and forths on what could Tyler Higbee actually, or what is he actually going to be. We know what he was at the end of last year, which was the 4th tight end in history to ever hit 4 straight 100-yard games and was turned into a league-winning player off the waiver wire. Now, we don't know what the Rams' offense is going to look like, but in the 12th round, are you allowed to ask yourself the question, What if they actually do that? And then Tyler Higbee is 80% of what he was at the end of the season.
But then what do you do with him? Are you actually going to put him out in your lineup? Or do you just need him to trade? Because George Kittle's not getting benched. That's the hard part.
Sure.
And it was funny. I looked back. I wanted to see. There was a 4-game stretch where Gerald Everett was on an 80 for 808 pace. There was a 5-game stretch where Higbee was on 130 for 1,210 pace. That's incredible from one team.
Yeah. You had Karl Anthony Towns grabbing Tariq Cohen.
Yeah, great pick.
In a full PPR league
Sure.
is already a good pick, but now you've got the fact that at the beginning of the season, he's going to be the guy. I mean, David Montgomery will not, I guess there's a timeline possibility that David Montgomery could be ready for week 1. I don't think that's going to happen. I think David Montgomery misses at least the first 2 weeks, which means Tariq Cohen in a full PPR league, the dinosaur hunter is back.
No.
Yeah. Oh, come on. That one's
that's vintage.
There's a lot of new people getting exposed to the podcast for the first time, and you're really going to bring up the Turok the dinosaur hunter nickname?
Says Scarborough jokes.
Look,
the Scarborough joke is at least makes sense.
That's fair. You've always hated Tariq the Dinosaur Hunter.
Yeah, because it's bad.
It's a great name.
I think it's kind of funny. If you're born in the early 80s.
Yeah, you got to be old enough.
You guys
for that
remember
one.
the N64?
Yeah.
Says deep cut Nintendo guy.
Yeah, come on.
It's not. Yeah, N64 is not deep enough. It's in no man's land.
You don't like any N64 references.
Oh,
I love it.
That's not true. I love the N64.
Oh my gosh.
Darius Slayton
Mario
drafted
Party.
here after Hunter Henry in the last round. I did want to point out Hunter Henry is a great value here, but he does have now Hunter Henry and Keenan Allen. You're tying a lot of the pass-catching work for
Tyrod Taylor. Also on the board, who is also an option.
That's true.
At quarterback, one of the
mobile
15 left.
Rushing quarterback. Tyrod Taylor probably has a good fantasy season so long as he's not, replaced by the rook.
Mm-hmm. All right, there are a lot of – look, if you follow the show, a lot of sleeper names that we've brought up before. Alan Lazard still on the board. Mm-hmm. Deshaun Jackson, the other, starter in Philadelphia.
Sure.
Sterling Shepard, a lot of camp buzz about Shepard. He's the number one wide receiver for the team.
I was just looking to see if Sterling Shepard was still available, and it's so ironic because I know, Mike, he's all
not the number one on the team.
Golden Tate, but
production-wise, last year, that's what you got per game from him.
Yeah, he's the number one to me. I know Mike is very in on Golden Tate, so
especially in a PPR league.
If you're watching this stream and you're in the draft, please draft one of those two players.
Anthony Miller off the board.
That's another
value.
Great upside pick, phenomenal talent. It's just a matter of can whoever the quarterback is for Chicago support two wide receivers. The talent is there with Anthony Miller. I like the pick. So, again, if someone can draft either Golden Tate or Sterling Shepard and then leave the other one for us, I would be happy.
Yeah, this is the fun of three managers on one team.
Look, I know where you guys stand on Golden Tate. I hadn't even brought the name up that I wasn't going to push for Golden Tate to happen. But if you're going to bring up Sterling Shepard, I'm going to defend the number one receiver for the New York Giants and Golden Tate.
I am going to ask the question ahead of time. Phillip Lindsey is on the board in the 12th round. A lot of talk out of camp is, look, we're not even calling Melvin Gordon the one.
Right.
We're calling these guys 1A, 1B type of thing. What do you think?
We're at the point where I want an inspiring pick. I want a pick
Sterling Shepard, thank you.
Yes. So we're taking Golden Tate?
He's in consideration.
Thank you. It's Phillip Lindsey is tough because even when he was the guy for them last year, and he was a great NFL player, he was a 1,000-yard rusher. For fantasy, it was always just
he still finished in the top 20, I believe, at the position. So
that's
at
what,
this
like,
point in the draft. Are you going to go Phillip Lindsey or Sony Michel at this point in the draft?
I would probably rather have Phillip Lindsey if those are my only two options, but there's different archetypes of players, not just someone who will get a little bit of work that will probably be mostly irrelevant on a weekly start, but maybe you grab a player who is an insurance policy running back, someone that if the starter goes down, immediately goes into our lineup.
You can probably wait on that.
Maybe. Yeah. We are in the 12th round.
Yeah.
So I think that
there's we need to take it. I guess we don't have to take a defense, so we won't. But Lazard.
Shh. Don't tell them.
Yeah.
Ayuk
Brandon Ayuk off the board. Real Dockery. And then we are on the clock.
Oh, we're on the clock. Fantastic.
So what are you guys thinking?
So to me, the pick comes between, do you take Chase Edmonds? I don't always draft my backup, but if we are actually concerned about the
boot,
the precautionary walking boot for Kenyon Drake, you're concerned, Andy, if Kenyon Drake misses week 1, Chase Edmonds will be great. He'll be great for fantasy football. He'll get a whole bunch of opportunity, a whole bunch of volume.
I would take
and we
Edmonds.
would play him despite the matchup with the 49ers. So
all right, we'll take him.
Oh, okay.
I would have.
And I won't bring up the other name.
I will be honest. I would have waited on Edmonds if you didn't bring his name up on this stream. Like, genuinely, that's why I slacked the name Edmonds to you, because I didn't want to say it, because I thought he would make it back. But he would not make it back if we said it, and you said it. So I'm like, I want him, because I would have been upset leaving this draft without Edmonds when we had a chance to get him that late, secure the backfield. If you do, I love Kenyon Drake. He is one of my guys. I think he's going to be a top 5 running back for fantasy, but the health does worry me. We have not seen him be able to be the true workhorse back for an entire 16 games. If you pair him with Edmonds, I feel like you are so secure. One of our running back spots is elite. That's how I view it.
All right, Phillip Lindsey.
Okay.
He didn't go with the 3 quarterbacks in a row stack. Team Efron. Tim the Tatman back on the clock. Mack and Sanders the last 2 rounds.
Nope.
You guys can see the draft board on the stream and maybe comment on your favorite team.
What do you think about the strategy? Let's take a look at Efron's board, right? He's got a lot of depth. He built out his running backs, wide receivers. What if you just went 5 quarterbacks to end the draft? You go, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, whoever.
I don't know. Well, I would say the one deficiency for Efron is the real boom at the wide receiver. Allen Robinson locked in, and then Hilton. It's very questionable. His health with the age, and the reports out of camp are very interesting because of out of Colts camp saying how the running backs and the tight ends are being featured. They're not seeing a lot of action from the wide receivers while they're like Paris Campbell's getting talked up, Michael Pittman is getting talked up. So then Julian Edelman, Jarvis Landry, very, very solid floor for a PPR, but really no, upside. It's real ceiling play on a weekly basis with those guys.
All right, Michael Pittman Jr. off the board. It's a good pick. It brings another name to mind as well. Deshaun Jackson and Michael Pittman Jr. to Juju, who's gone Ruggs, D-Jax, and Pittman with 3 of the last 4 picks. Joe Burrow just went off the board. Okay, that would have been another interesting, very, very late round flyer, see what happens week 1 situation.
I think Joe Burrow breaks almost every rookie quarterback record. Now, is that good enough for fantasy? Because really, when you talk about real good fantasy options at rookie quarterbacks, there's been plenty, but they're always mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah, they have to run.
They're rushing quarterbacks where you get, a point for every 10 yards versus a point for every 25 yards. Cam Newton's rookie year, Kyler's rookie year, those are phenomenal. But as far as a passing year, I think Joe Burrow is going to be great.
All right, we are getting towards the very end here of Sleeper Bowl 20.
Final 2 rounds. We'll see if everybody drafts a defense or not.
$10,000 to this year's winner, their charity of their choice. So that's awesome. Shout out to Sleeper for putting this Sleeper Bowl on once again, year number 2, and for the donation, which is great. I mean, just an awesome opportunity to bring it home, try to win it back-to-back, and give some money to charity. Tyler Higbee off the board. Tim the Tatman was the perfect candidate for Higbee. He's got an injury-prone Evan Ingram with a breakout chance, but now he's got some, dare I say, tight end insurance. Not something we've ever said before, but it's a good. You got 2 players with upside, so we are 1 away, and it's going to be. I think Damian Harris is a name that I would be strongly considering here.
Damian Harris was the name that I was going to bring up besides Chase Edmonds of. Following the drumbeat of the training camp, and everything has really been trending for Damian Harris to be the starter. You have beat reporters following New England saying,
"Well, we're on the clock, so you can argue for him now, and you guys will need to argue for him. You can outvote me. I would not want Damian Harris. While I love the talent, I think if he wins the job, which is still an if he wins the job, it's not going to be alone.
Justin Jefferson, Brashad Perryman,
Cam will get
Paris Campbell,
Golden Tate.
Brian Edwards.
Look, you don't have to talk me into Golden Tate.
It just feels so boring right here, but that's fine. Jalen Reagor is not a guarantee, so I'm fine taking some
it feels boring,
PPR
but
value.
I like Tate. Yeah, the value. Tate is going to be used. He's going to be startable in a PPR. Is a great depth piece to me, and then if you want to go Harris with the last pick, that's fine.
We'll see.
What
if
is
Harris
the upside?
What is the upside of Damian Harris?
Starting running back for the Patriots.
Yeah, and starting running back that
catches passes in the offense too.
He also catches passes. So I don't believe that you'll see the same offense where when Sony Michel was on the field last year, they were going to run.
Right.
You knew it wasn't going to be a pass. I think that changes. Bill Belichick is not a coach that has a static offense from year to year. I know that it's been a little bit tougher to trust Patriots running backs lately, but we have had several years where you could easily trust a Patriots running back. And like what I was going to say is beat reporters are saying out of camp, Damian Harris is an upgrade over what Sony Michel has brought the team the last couple years. We don't know why he couldn't get on the field. He was a third-round pick, that's still a very high draft capital pick for a football team to invest a third-round pick on a running back. I think he has a chance to really be special for the Patriots and be special for fantasy football. So the upside to me is it's Damian Harris getting the vast majority of the rushing work, still gets some receptions as well, and then he just splits with James White, and the other guys are not used.
Well, I've got great news for me. It looks like Damian Harris was just drafted.
We made a strong case, Mike, and now he's gone. Damian Harris went 7th pick of the 13th round. Ninja on the clock, 2 picks left. And how are you feeling about running back situation for our team? Kamara, Kenyon, Ingram, Gibson, and then Edmonds back behind Kenyon Drake.
I actually think that are
we okay?
Yeah, I think we are okay with the guys that we've got.
Okay. 1 pick left for us after the Golden Tate pick. See what Ninja goes with here. Ninja's team, he went Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Carson at running back to start this draft, first 4 rounds. Has Lamar Jackson, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown in the 5th round there. Loved that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Deandre Swift and carry on in the 6th and 10th round. The backfield in Detroit. Darren Waller, 7th round pick, PPR. I like that too. Pretty strong roster. Went Adrian Peterson in the 13th. I've got no problem with that. If you can get somebody
Nor do I have a
going,
problem with someone else drafting Adrian Peterson.
It's always funny because when you start the season, you don't see any of the pathways to needing a player like Adrian Peterson on your roster. But every single year you need players like Adrian Peterson to start because you have injuries, bye weeks, and the running back position is thin. It's nice to say, okay, J.K. Dobbins in the 9th round. There's a point in the year that can come where you need to start Adrian Peterson and J.K. Dobbins is getting 1 carry a week. That is a reality.
It is absolutely
That's why Peyton Barber got played half of last year. Nobody wants to play Adrian Peterson,
right?
And nobody wants to play Peyton Barber. But they do. You have to. You get backed into it. Injuries are real.
And as we come to the close of this draft, again, thank you all so much for spending your Saturday with us. I hope you've had as much fun as we have with this draft. It has been wild.
I wonder how many are drafting today and tomorrow.
Yeah, so look, here you go. A mock draft was happening. Well, not a mock, but for you, a mock draft happening right in front of your eyes, but real decisions being made. Very, very smart, very savvy players making excellent choices this year in the Sleeper Bowl 20. We are the fantasy footballers. We are here for all of your fantasy football needs. And if you're drafting this weekend, we have the product that you need. It's the Ultimate Draft Kit, all of our full projections, all of our rankings broken down into tiers, our sleepers, our breakouts, players that we are avoiding,
risk ratings,
like it's all you need. It's the only draft kit that you need to get ready.
It's ultimate. It's like it's the ultimate draft kit.
We used to sell the regular draft kit, and then we changed it.
And it's been great. It's won a lot of people championships. Where would I get the ultimate draft kit?
You'd grab that at ultimatedraftkit.com. And, of course, look, if you want to subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it's free. Just search for it and click that sub.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying they're drafting today. This weekend and next weekend, the big drafting weekends, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. I can't wait. We are so close to having football back.
Yeah.
And I'm jacked up about it. I'm real excited. I'm going to be honest with you.
And then Mike Gesicki just went in the 14th round.
Oh, my goodness.
Right after McCole Hardman, who I think is a great – if you want to take a shot at just some electric high upside player, McCole Hardman is that archetype.
Absolutely. We did see a defense go, the 49ers, before Hardman. Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones in the 14th round. Very tough early season schedule. First 4 games are rough, but Daniel Jones breakout potential.
But I really like that pick at this point of the draft.
And he's got Tom Brady, so this is he's not going to have to rely on him.
Right.
We're going to see if the breakout can happen. But yes, that schedule. Were you about to read the schedule? Oh no, the Baltimore Ravens were drafted.
Yeah, Ravens off the board. We have Supreme Dreams, Danny Duncan, Real Dockery, the next 3 picks to round this thing out. There are a ton of quarterbacks that will probably start for us that are on the waiver wire right now that can be drafted. I imagine we should take a shot at one just to try to pre-select that waiver wire pickup.
That's what I was going to say. Who is take the chance now, the probability. Week 1, this quarterback comes out, 3 touchdowns, monster game. They are the one that everyone's going after. Who is it for you?
It's 100% for me. The pick is Ryan Tannehill.
For me, it's Ryan Tannehill as well.
It's not Jared Goff.
For me, it's Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, it's not Jared Goff because we've seen Goff be great. So if he comes out and has a good week 1, we're like, cool. We've also seen him disappear.
Yeah.
But if Tannehill comes out and validates the end of that season.
Exactly.
And that's why we won't get him because we're talking about it right now.
Well, I think most teams here are going to take a defense. This is the final round. You need to start a defense. And you might be saying, well, aren't you? I was going to say
we'll have to cut somebody for a defense.
If someone fell to us, if the Ravens fell to us, I would definitely be drafting them. Unfortunately, Ninja grabbed the Ravens, who I think they're my favorite defense going into this offseason. Their early season schedule is great, mixed with the fact that they're a great defense. But we usually will wait. So you just brought up a good point. We're going to have to cut somebody.
Yes.
So instead of it being someone like Ryan Tannehill, who we're not going to have an answer there, would it be advantageous to draft someone who an injury from now to
waiting
the beginning
through camp?
Yeah, I mean the Damian Harris situation would have been great if we could have taken him and seen some clarity there. I think that you can still go Tannehill and we can play the game of, okay, Kenyon Drake's 100% healthy. We don't have to roster Chase Edmonds. Now Ryan Tannehill's gone. Thank you, Dockery. He's watching.
All right. Well, that makes it easy.
Here's the beauty, guys. We did this last year.
This guy.
They watched every pick last year, and they couldn't stop us.
You can't stop us no matter who you are.
So I'm not intimidated. But we certainly can't draft Ryan Tannehill because he just went.
All right. So what are we doing?
If you want to shift to what you're saying, another, is it Jordan Howard in case you had an injury? Probably not. What about Boston Scott if Miles Sanders missed week 1? What about?
Yeah.
Those are the type. Justin Jackson.
Boston Scott. If Miles Sanders
Jackson?
if Miles Sanders, who is currently week to week, misses week 1, Boston Scott will be a really valuable
Alan Lazard.
option.
See what happens week 1.
Justin Jackson makes a lot of sense.
I'm much more in on grabbing Justin Jackson than Boston Scott
in a PPR.
All right.
Well, just remember this is the person that we are probably cutting.
I would imagine. Wouldn't we cut somebody like? We'd probably hang on to Edmonds.
Yes.
I would cut Golden Tate. The only reason I drafted Golden Tate was to cut him.
You are rude.
Well, who do you want? You want Justin Jackson?
Of the players that we have mentioned, that's the one that I'm interested in the most.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if we have to cut him because Joshua Kelly establishes or
right,
you do the advantage is if there's you never hope for an injury, but if there's a camp injury, you have a player that could take advantage.
If Austin Eckler, something happens, then we
like he
cut
wins a
someone else.
vacation,
right? And he's like, I've got to take this vacation right now.
It's ill-timed,
but it's free, and I can only redeem it right now.
Yeah,
I was part of the Showcase Showdown.
Right,
I got a trip, but it's redeemable right now. Justin Jackson, take over.
Vacations are pretty cheap right now, though, so that might not be the best incentive.
Well, Brashad Perryman, nice pick by Team Efron. Another good draft from those guys. Kelsey, stolen from us in the 3rd round, or from Jason. Yeah. I'm fine with Kelsey or Kittle, but some very good picks throughout. Ronald Jones in the 6th. I like that pick. If we're looking at these teams, we talked about JuJu's foundation. McCaffrey, Mahomes, Jones, Woods, McLaurin, Mark Andrews. But after that, Montgomery, Cooks, Hurst, Ruggs. Has your stance softened on that being kind of the strongest draft to your eyes, right? Like on paper draft?
I don't know. I think, taking Pittman and Ruggs for upside, but then Deshaun Jackson for, a known vet. I still look at this team. The fact that they got Mark Andrews so late and had 5 star picks ahead, they've got, the number 1 running back, the chance at the number 1 quarterback. I'm still a big fan of JuJu's.
All right, that wraps up the draft. We want to say thank you to Sleeper. You can go play your fantasy league on Sleeper. We ran this league last year through Sleeper, our listener league. Great platform, and they put on SleeperBot this year. And they're also donating $10,000 to the winners charity from this draft, from this league. And we're very excited that we'll be able to donate that to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital again.
Yeah, and
so it's up to everybody else to stop that donation from happening.
Yeah, let the games begin.
All right, that is it. We're the Fantasy Footballers. Appreciate you joining us, and have a wonderful – if you're drafting today, tomorrow, have a great draft and a great season. Take care, everybody.